And we're back with some more Factorio. And today's going to be a busy day. As you can see, everything's churning away nicely, but we are quite short on red circuits. That's namely due to our copper shortage. Now, I was going to sort that out, but there's a couple of things we need to take care of first. Namely, logistics robots, construction robots, that type of thing. Over here, you'll see we've got this RoboPort. We've been using this I use this a little bit on the side to transport some things around, namely concrete, or, well, something I can't even remember at this point. But you'll notice when I hover over it, it's got this orange square around it and a green square. That orange square is its logistic radius, which we'll come back to, and the green square is its construction radius. So what exactly does that mean? Well, right here we have, say, a passive provider chest with electric furnaces. These chests provide logistic support to the network. Anything in them is accessible by any logistic robots in here, and construction robots. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell them to build a furnace over there somewhere. You're just going to hold down shift and say, oh, build that over there for me. And off the robot goes. The reason the robot does it is because we can't reach it. Our RoboPort does not reach that far, but this RoboPort can, so it automatically builds it for us when it realizes that we can't get to it. Very handy way of building things. But more importantly, there's logistics. For example, here is a passive provider chest full of heat pipes. Let's try making a new rule for ourselves. I put down passive provider chests for all of the resources out of here because we are going to want access to all of these at some point or another. So you could get access to, you know, furnaces or steam turbines or nuclear, centrifuges, whatever you want. Then you've got this logistics section here. So let's just say we want, furnaces, and we always want to have 50 furnaces on us at all times. Right now, we actually have 50 furnaces on us. So this thing's, yeah, fine, you got 50 furnaces, who cares? However, let's just say we go over here and we dump all 50 furnaces into this chest. Now we have no furnaces. Well, the logistic robots have noticed we don't have those furnaces and have come over to provide them to us. And now we have 50 electric furnaces again. But it gets even better. But before we can take advantage of all its features, we need to spread out our logistic network. As in, we need this to go further. So we want this to go pretty much the entire length of our area here so that all of our robots, or all of our mall, is covered. We want everything in the mall to be inside the logistics network range. So we're just going to start plopping these down all around the place, just so we have it all covered. I don't know how easy that is to see, but the entire mall is now covered in construction RoboPorts, which is really handy. But next up, what we're going to do is demonstrate logistic trash. So let's just say we have this wood and we don't want it in inventory anymore. We can just trash it like that. And then some logistics robots come along and remove it. Now, where will they send it? They will automatically send it to storage chests. Storage chests are just there to, well, store stuff. They're like intermediate storage sections. However, we don't have really enough space there. You know what? Let's get some more logistics chests down here. Ah, there they are. Let's grab 50 of those and keep those in our inventory at all times, shall we? There'll be some robots along at some point to pick them up. I don't know where they are, but they're on their way. And here they come. Boom, we now have all those logistic chests in our inventory. So let's just replace this entire area down here with proper storage chests. And that way we should have plenty of room for everything. Done. Then we can do other fun stuff. For example, let's grab coal here. Just say we don't want any coal in our inventory ever again, or we only want to never have more than 50 coal. We can set that to drag that all the way down, and now we're not allowed to have more than 50 coal. In fact, let's just make that 0 coal for now. And if we keep an eye on our inventory there, that should disappear in a second. And gone. So you can set it up so that you don't have any stuff in your inventory, or you can basically manage your inventory smartly so you don't end up with way more than you need. For example, I usually need like 100 undergrounders. So I can set it so that I only have 100 undergrounders, and I will always be given them. Every time I go near them, all the robots will just swarm over, fill up my inventory with what I want, strip out the stuff I don't want, well, until I overfill this. And it just makes life so much simpler. Anyway, just give us 5 minutes here while I do some tinkering. After scrubbing through a bunch of things, this is the config I set upon. I want to have enough transport belt on me at all times. In fact, let's get rid of the red transport belt. We're never going to want that again. Excellent. That makes our inventory just a little bit cleaner and gives us a little bit more space. Maybe not a huge amount of space, but enough. Now we're going to take these RoboPorts and we're going to spread them everywhere. Literally everywhere about the base. We're going to want to cover the whole base, including all the furnaces in these RoboPorts. And done. We have a nice grid going on. In fact, let's go have a look at the map here. We'll turn on the logistics network overlay. So all of the orange is areas where our little bots can carry stuff from one point to the other, and green is where they can construct stuff. Well, they can also construct in the orange, don't get me wrong, it just means that orange is just handy for the logistics side of things. This has given us some handy things. Now, I don't know if you remember, but a while back, we left some blue circuits here so that we could use them to build armor and things like that. We also did something similar with our battery setup, so we have a case of batteries lying around here somewhere. I've also turned that into a requester chest. Flying robot frames. Yep, also got those set up, and passive provider chest for, what do you call this, low density structure. So all of these have been changed over to passive provider chests, which means we can literally call upon them with robots anytime we want, and they will carry them to us, or to places we want. We can place down requester chests, and the robots will bring whatever we request in those chests from anywhere in our network. But I think next up we're going to sort copper. That copper line is looking decidedly kid. Let's go set up an outpost. But first, we're going to set up our train. This train here will be our little builder train for doing outposts. So let's see what we want to stick in here. We have over here this train wagon, and we've set it up so that it can carry a bunch of rails. We'll go into more on how to do that, but first we're just going to cover the logistics of it. So we want more rails in here. It's not quite full. So we're going to go to a requester chest, and we're going to say, what would we like? We would like rails. Where are you? Here we are. So we're going to want you to have 100 rails at all times. No, we're going to make that about 500 rails. Yeah, keep 500 rails inside you at all times. Then our logistics robots will come along. They'll go find the 500 rails and they'll load them up into that box. Well, in a minute. It's going to take them a while to move that. We might want to make some more of them. However, now that they're on their way to do that, let's grab the stack inserter and we're going to say, you start loading up the train. And you'll see this is slowly filling up. And we don't have to do anything. Every time we park this train here, the rails will be automatically produced over here. And after they're produced, our logistics robots will pick them up, chuck them down here, and dump them into the train. So if we need more rails, we just pull them out of our train wagon, and when we do park it up again, it gets filled back up automatically. Well, the rails. Now we have to do the same for, say, rail signals. Several requester chests later, we've got one requester chest for signals, chain signals, big electric poles, and lights. And we'll just do that. Now, if we'll check, this thing should entirely get stocked up. It'll take a minute or two. But that should now be automatic. We never have to worry about it again. Now we just have to worry about this section. This one, I should probably point out here, if you say have one of these and you want to lock it in, you can press the middle mouse button on one of these, and it allows you to select a filter. Oh, God, my middle mouse button's a bit dodgy. There we go. So I could filter this for, say, blue circuits. And now only blue circuits can occupy that spot. Nothing else can do it. And if you hold down Shift and right click, you can copy that, and then Shift left click to paste it. Though I don't think it works on blank spots, no. To remove them again, you just middle click and that clears the selection. But you can use this to configure trains so that they don't end up carrying everything. They're just exactly what you want and nothing more. Now, let's see, we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more chests for this. We have ordered an awful lot of stuff just now. When you think about it, that's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, that's 1,200 transport belts. It's going to take a while before the transport or the logistics robots can keep up with all of this. Also, we've only got, 150 of them, I think, on the network. If you hover over one of these, it'll tell you how many logistics robots you have and how many construction. For example, we have 159, but 0 of them are free because they're all currently active. We have 57 construction robots, all of who are available. Alright, that's the second wagon, and now let's maybe do up this wagon as well, and I think we'll just leave it at that. 3 wagons, and we'll then go do our little bit of construction. Turns out, we were not making a bunch of those. I had to queue up liquid pumps, oil jacks, and radars. One very handy thing about having logistics robots is, even though this carries most of the resources needed to produce everything, there's sometimes little annoying factors. Like, say, this over here. It requires all of those components. Actually, never mind, that's a bad example. This one here. This one requires pipes. Now, I could put down an assembler and start making pipes here, or I could just put down a requester chest and say, hey, grab me some pipes out of the network. Because there are pipes in the network. If we check here, hover over the requester chest, it'll show you down in the bottom right all of the stuff that's in the network. It actually goes off the screen. There's way too much. But there are over 400 pipes on the network in different passive provider chests because of all the other designs down here that require them. For example, there's a chest there putting pipes in it because that feeds into engines. There's another one over here because it feeds into train wagons. So all of those pipes are available, and we just dump a few in there to help us make pump jacks. It's not very fast, but we don't need it. Bots at this stage of the game, or at this level, can be used for just lots of low throughput tasks that are just annoyingly hard to belt there. So instead of using belts, use a little bit of robots, so long as it's only a small amount. But with that in place, we just go like that, and that should hopefully fill up that. Once we'll put that there. And there we go. Soon we'll have that all filled up, and I think that's the last, was it? Yeah, I didn't want anything else, so we'll fill this up and then we'll head out to our next copper site. Before we head off, there's one last thing we can do. We can make a logistic request here, but for something special. Nuclear fuel. Let's make that 3 nuclear fuel. Perfect. And we'll copy that over to there. What has been done is, if you look over here, we actually have a little buffer chest, or passive provider chest set up here. And once it has 20 nuclear fuel in it, nuclear fuel cells, it then dumps the rest over onto the belt to go down to our trains. And that's it. That's all we're doing. That way we've got plenty of this fuel, and there's our little logistic robots picking it up, and they're going to fly that back to our train, and then our train will have nuclear fuel in it. So that reminds me, we should probably take the regular fuel out of it. What do we got in here? Yeah, the regular rocket fuel can go. And then we'll throw the nuclear fuel in. And now it even gets automatically refueled when we come back. Right now you'll notice there's plenty of empty space in this train that I haven't filled up with stuff. That's because I can't remember what I put in here in my last train. So I'll find out when I get to places, don't have enough, and have to come all the way back to get more. It's frustrating, but you know, it's part of the learning curve. Yeah, let's go get ourselves some copper. Looking at the map, there's only 2 real places I'm interested in. The first one is over here, that's 24 million copper, and then there's another one over here that's 18 million copper. But I'm thinking the 18 million copper is the one I want to go for. The reason being, it's very close by. We can just run a quick rail line off, and there's also oil behind it as well, and there's more iron ore over there, and there's more iron ore. This place is just very rich in resources, plus there's a stone patch here. I'd like to put a train station down here so we can have a landfill train stop. So yes, we're going to head over this direction. After laying this bunch of rails along here, we now have, well, access to all of the resources around here quite easily with train stations. So right now we're standing right on top of this giant copper patch. Well, giant for the stage of the game. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the mining blueprint we have. Now, actually, I should go over something here. I've been playing around in the background with some of the new features they introduced since the last time I was playing, which was a long time ago. They've got a grid sized, so you can select the grid size. And what I've set it to is just this here. So this here is basically a stampable blueprint that it will treat as inviolable. Let me show you. Normally what you'd have to do is say, place down a blueprint here, and then carefully line up the next chunk, and then carefully line up the next chunk, and do it all the way along. Instead, all you do is you hold down Shift, line up the first one carefully. You want to line up the first one carefully. Hold down the left mouse button, and then just stretch it across like this. And there we go. All of it's ready to be laid out. I'll have to go back to the train a bunch of times to get enough resources. I'm pretty sure we are very, very short. I didn't bring enough with me. But the train is just over there. So we can zip over there and grab all the stuff we don't have with us on us right now. That is so much faster. No more running back and forth to base because you forgot something. You just go straight over to the train, pick up what you need, and you're done. Now, let's see where we're going to put in our pickup station. After messing around a whole lot, this is the train station we ended up with. It's a little bit more cramped than my usual. It's just, if you look on the map, there's this oil right beside us, and that oil I don't want to mess with because we're going to have to tap into that later at some point as well. So this train sort of comes down here, and they enter through here, but they exit out through here. It's a drive on the right train system, so we just have to plug in the exit on the right and the entrance on the right. So we're just using T-junctions to bring them in. You could use simpler systems, but I just like to use the T-junction because then I only need 2 blueprints to get all my rail network built. It's a bit of a waste of resources, but honestly, at this stage, when you're dumping down construction projects this big, wasting a bit of resources is the least of your concerns. Now let's sort this and balance this out. I have a blue belt balancer book that I'm just using. I think I've mentioned that already, but this is what we're going to use to balance this sucker. And done. Now let's plug it all in. There we go. All good to fire up. Now we'll just chuck that across. That gets all the miners running, and there goes our first lines of copper. That should all get transported into the trains, and we never once had to return back to base to get supplies. This is the power of a builder train. Now, knowing exactly what to put in a builder train is just a little bit of trial and error. You'll forget stuff, you'll have to go back. Just make sure to keep adding them on. And we should lay down a bunch of trains for this as well. Did I bring enough trains? I hope I brought enough trains. Another reason I like these 4-way stackers is it makes loading these outposts up with trains much easier. You can just hold down the left click button and just drag everything where you need it. Done. Let's make sure they're all linked together. I don't want to make the same mistake as last time. They still need fuel though, so they can get back home. All we're going to do is we are going to stick some rocket fuel in them. Just one though. One rocket fuel should be enough to get them back home. And once they're back home, Z key, Z key, Z key. Once they're back home, they'll get fueled up with nuclear fuel. We might want to put in 2 at the later and much further away outposts, but for now that should be plenty. And this place is ready to go. Now we just need to set up a docking station back home, or a copper ore drop-off. That, well, you know what, let's just send this to go home automatically and we'll sit back and relax. That's going to be a little bit tricky, because what I've decided to do is we're not going to plug it back into our actual copper here. Instead, we're going to plug it directly into our green circuits. Now this, you know what, let's go have a look at some numbers. This here is a visual representation of how much iron belt, or how much iron plate and copper plate it takes to run a 500 science per minute base. We are assuming here that you've got productivity modules and everything to cut down on the cost. So this is like least cost to make it. 14.1 belts of iron plate and 10.9 belts of copper plate. And this is blue belt. This is blue transport belt. You're not getting away with red or yellow or anything like that. You're going with the good stuff here. However, there are ways to cut down on this because some people would like to have this all on their main bus. Personally, I don't want to make my main bus just quite that gargantuan. So if we were to say take the iron plate and copper plate and turn it into green circuits, this is what the belts would look like instead. So what I'm suggesting you do is directly dump iron plate and copper plate with its own smelting setup and all that directly into your green circuit production. It takes a little bit of math, there's a calculator for that. And you can just instead bypass this so you don't have to put it on your main bus and you end up with this lovely section of green circuits. Of course, you still end up with way too much. We're trying to minimize everything down to 6 belts, and there's 6.2 belts of copper, 6.2 belts of green, and about, 9.7 belts of iron over there. So it's still a little bit big. But what you can do is steel. Steel, you see, takes up an awful lot of your iron plate production. In fact, so much you don't probably realize that most of your iron production goes into steel or green circuits. Once you subtract steel and green circuits, you go from having 14.1 belts of iron plate to having 2.2 belts of iron plate. Just by extracting out green circuits and steel. That's insane. You keep feeling like you're running out of iron plate. That's because it's all going into steel and green circuits. The rest of your base is barely drawing any in comparison. Copper, though, where is all of this going? Surprisingly enough, the culprit for the rest of your copper production? Low density structures. Low density structures, if you extract them and steel and green circuits, you're only left with 2.2 belts of copper and 2.2 belts of iron plate. That's it. It's kind of insane how small you can make your main bus if you just maybe extract a few things. Though that kind of subtracts from the power of the main bus. Normally it's nice to be able to redirect all of your production into one thing or another with your main bus, but we're trying to keep it to about 6 belts per resource. This looks about right, though we're going to have 7 for... You know what? No. We're probably going to end up somewhere around here. We will smelt up our steel before putting it up on the bus, and we'll have direct smelting going right into our green circuit production. So our main bus is going to look something like this. Though if you want to go overboard, you can always do something like that. That's kind of incredible how much you can strip out. Let's get back to slotting in this copper outpost into our green circuit production. I think now is the time we demonstrate the power of Factorio, or the power curve you encounter where suddenly you realize, oh wow, we can do major things really quickly now. This here is our green circuit production. We have, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 5 lines of it. We're going to need 6.2 eventually. And back here is where we're going to stick in our dedicated iron and copper smelting for this, because it literally takes so much resources. How much resources? Well, 4.4 belts of iron plate and 4.7 belts of copper plate. So we need about 5 smelting furnaces of each. 5 iron, 5 copper. That's a lot. I'd prefer not for that to take too long. So instead what we'll do is we'll go over here and you'll see this smelter from setup we did earlier. All we'll do is we'll grab that and we'll go, well, you know what? We'll take you. And done. Then we go back to over here and we decide, well, we're going to need 10 of these, so how are we going to line this up? Let me think for a second. Wait, I'm doing this wrong. You just, we'll line one of them up already. Say we'll line you up there, and then we can line up all the rest around that. So that's 1. And then we'll do 1 there, that's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, no. Damn it, I did that last one wrong. Control Z. Ah, there we go. Control Z will undo the last one. I almost messed that up. There we go. And boom. And done. And the thing is, you're thinking, okay, well, the construction robots will bring us over supplies. Not only that, or the logistics robots will bring us over supplies. Not only that, but the construction robots built into our network will start coming along and helping out as well. One thing we might want to do is say, link that up there so it's got power. Perfect. Now all of these roboports will start kicking online, and the whole place will get itself built up. Let's come back in a few minutes. I realised I was maybe a little bit light on construction robots in our network. We only had about 50, so I dumped a bunch more into it, and I'm constructing some more right now. But as you can see, they're slowly but surely putting this together for us. If we had more construction robots, we would have done this faster. But this is sort of the power creep you encounter here. The wonderful thing is, once this is done, we can then get them to build a train station. At the moment, I've turned off our roboport. We're just going to let them build it. In fact, we won't build on the train station just yet. I'm going to build some more construction robots so that they can get back and forth more easily. And maybe we'll put in another roboport right there, just to help them on their journey. They're having to travel a long distance, you know what I mean? You can go there. Boom, power supplied. Over here, we're going to add in a whole bunch more construction robots. I just jury-rigged in a little bit more. You really don't need that many. Well, you really don't need that many to start. We're probably going a little bit overboard here. And as you'll see, they are all flat out. Oh no, there's a few construction robots that are not currently busy. Anyway, we'll cut back in a bit. Oh, wait, yeah, power's sort of maxing out. Time to go expand our nuclear power plant. Ah, the joys. Once you start doing something too ridiculous, the game just reminds you, yeah, you've got to keep your power needs in check. I'm going to go grab some reactors and pop down there. A little bit of an extension to our power supply. We've now got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 reactors that are all double boosted, and a couple at the end that are only single boosted. We are now, how much power? 1.2 gigawatts. Perfect. Fuel-wise, yeah, I don't think we really have to worry. This thing produces fuel at such an enormous rate, we could keep extending that out. We're more likely to run out of water than we are to run out of nuclear fuel. Kind of ridiculous, really. Now, how is our construction project going over here? Only 3 furnaces left. Jesus, we must have drained our steel supply, because that should have been a lot faster. Wow. Alright, so this was all completed pretty much... Well, the majority of it was done by our construction robots built into our network. I've jumped up to... How many we got in there now? 481 construction robots. That should make things much faster. Oh, here comes the resupply people. I love these. These robots make things so much simpler. Or these little logistics robots. Or drones. Let's just call them drones. Looks like all of this construction has caused our plastic to have a problem. The traceback is petroleum. We're not producing enough petroleum. I think we're going to need to start speed modulating our pump jacks. Yeah, I really didn't want to do that because our pump jacks are out here on the edge. And it just means we're probably going to have to... Actually... That whole area is clear. You know what? We can speed module the bejesus out of them and not care. Lots of speed modules, a bunch of beacons, and now that should crank up production. Yes, there we go. Much better. I was actually worried that this distance was going to cause us problems, but turns out it's not doing much at all. I suppose it's not as far as I would think from my base. It just feels a lot further because of the walking distance. Plastic production is back in full swing. Excellent. Bottleneck sorted. Now all we have to do is get that copper plugged in. The amount of delays you get, even though, dear Lord, I suppose we did put in a fair bit of construction projects while we were around. And what are they doing? How has that not been filled in by our construction robots? Oh, maybe they were reserved. Never mind. We need to do drop-off for the copper ore. The installation of this is going to be very straightforward as well. We're going to copy-paste. We don't even have a blueprint. We're just going to do a copy-paste jobby from over here. Say we'll grab, from about... You know what? We'll grab all the way from over here. All of you, all the way back to about... You know what? There seems about right. Yeah, seems legit. Totally legit. Now let's go paste this over here somewhere, shall we? Oh wait, can we get that in on the map? Ah, damn it. 1 second, we need to get off the map view, don't we? There we go. Now we just gotta line this up somewhere. Give me a minute while I space this out. You know what I totally forgot? They made it so you can paste these in from the map view now. That makes things much simpler. You know what? Go down here a little bit. We're going to need some more line of sight for this. Ah, there we go. Now the choices are either this location, which is too central. We need to leave room for the iron. I think we'll stick it over there. Yeah, that looks like a good spot. And boop. And done. And we should probably go back and delete those these T-junctions. We don't need these T-junctions here, so we'll just deconstruct all of those. But that should be fine. I've even built in some roboports in here, so this thing should be completely built by our construction robots. Assuming they can reach it, I might have to put in an intermediate one right about, say here. Yeah, that there should totally help out. Oh, well, maybe connect up a little bit of power to that to give them a boost. There we go. They're slowly but surely putting that together, and while they're doing that, we can go down to the bottom of the map and finish off the rails. We have to bring in a rail segments through here and bring that down as well to meet up so it can plug into our grid. We're going to have a square box of rails all the way around our base. It makes things much easier because then you can just sort of run spines off in every direction. I don't know if you've ever seen that thing on the rainforest, but they call it fishboning, where you run a road into a forest and then there are branches off of it while they strip mine the whole place. Kind of seems appropriate for this game. Not very nice, but appropriate. Anyway, I'm going to get the train system running. Now, this station is connected to our main grid, so it comes all the way through here. It can get all the way around. Soon we'll have to finish that off, but not just yet. So far, all of our resources we need are over here. When we start tapping into more uranium patches, we'll probably go over this side, but for now, I think we're sorted. I think we'll just hook this up. I think we'll alternate it 1 copper, 1 iron, 1 copper, 1 iron all the way along. 5 belts of copper ore should go in there. We'll get 5 belts of iron plate at the other side. Well, we don't actually need 5 full belts of blue belts of copper ore. There's a 20% production bonus because of the module, so we only need about 80% or, I don't know, the exact percentages. Doesn't really matter too much. One thing we're missing though is fuel. So pipe or belting all of that nuclear fuel over here would be a pain. So instead, let's just request it from our network. And you know what? Let's make sure we have a fair chunk in here. Let's make that about 6 for now. We can maybe downgrade that later. But that'll bring over the fuel. That means that when our trains come here, they can top back up on their fuel, and we never have to worry about them running out. Alright, with that done, let's go find the map view. And where did we put those trains? There we go. Oh, forgot to rename the train station. 1 second. Station renamed to Green Circuits Copper. Be careful when you're copying and pasting things. I just realized that was called iron ore. Iron ore main. That might have actually resulted in some of those trains coming back here and dropping off their iron ore, and that would have been really messy. But it's fine. It's fine. Now all we have to do, pop across the map, and we did leave these 4 trains here ready to go. Simple enough. Add station, copper outpost 1, add station, weight condition, full cargo, add station, green circuits copper, add weight condition, empty cargo, and done. Automatic. No, you, come here for a second. I want to copy you and paste you into these ones. And they should all be the exact same. Automatic, automatic, and automatic. And that's that. They will show up here. Let's make sure we're off the tracks. Yeah, they'll show up here and start dumping their copper in. Then we're just going to have to do a little bit of a reconfigure. Oh, is that tree? Okay, that tree somehow managed to survive this. Oh, it manages to perfectly take up the spot, not in the way of anything. Fair enough. Let's see how long you live. We're going to have to start routing this copper in the opposite direction, so we're going to have to reverse the flow of copper going through all these things. Let me think. Through here? Yeah, we can do this. There goes our first copper train. It should also be fully fueled. How much nuclear fuel is left in that? Yep. Oh wait, there's 6 to be delivered. I don't think the next train's going to get fueled. That's the only thing that worries me, is that the trains will come in so fast at first, they won't be able to bring the fuel here just quite quick enough. No, I think we got time. This rerouting of the copper turned out to be actually fairly straightforward. It's not that difficult. Let's take this one over here. All we do is we grab this, we go, I want you to do that, and then you hit R to rotate it, and it reverses the flow of the copper. Same here, you just hit R to rotate it, and you can see those yellow arrows. When we hit R, it just flips them the opposite direction, and actually we don't need any further copper past that, so all of that can go. And then you just flip the transport belt that way, it reverses it, flip the transport belt that way, and then we'll just plug in this next section. Done. And that's 2 of them now working off an external copper source. I don't know if we're bringing enough copper to run all of them, but I'm going to give it a shot. That is going to take some serious pressure off our copper supplies. If we check back in our main base now, we should see a solid belt of copper in there. Perfect. Iron is still doing well, but we might want to expand that in a minute. I think that's actually enough for today. I was just looking around the map and I realized we have expanded quite a lot. There's a few questions as to why we don't tap into these old patches of copper, iron, and coal. Well, they're too small. It's just these things are tiny. Look at them. They're like, we have 300,000 iron ore, 547,000 copper. Our copper ore that's running out is already 10 million. Same with the iron ore. They're both about over 9 million apiece. The time and effort it's spent just getting those built into the system, it's just not worth it. Considering we can just make an iron outpost and grab another 23 million or another 16 million or another 25 million. I would far rather spend my time building in those outposts because they're quick, easy to put down, and they will still give way more and last for a lot longer. The time and effort put into getting those is just not really worth it. Our nuclear power there is slowly but surely becoming more and more efficient. Every reactor we add on to the end just makes this more and more efficient because it makes the ones in the middle act like they're and it's like a 4 reactor square. That I'm actually quite happy with. And our main bus, yeah, I think we're going to put off all the upgrades and just actually put in some science now. We need to start actually doing science again. I've gotten so caught up in just expanding production. It's taken me away from what you're supposed to be doing, which is producing more science. Instead, we've been mass producing modules at an absolutely insane rate. If you'll check down here, we've got a lot of speed 3 modules. How many is that? 1,500 speed 3 and about 894 productivity modules, speed level 3. I may have been putting all of our resources into that. I think next episode we'll finish off the sciences, get about 256 science apiece, just so that we're ticking over and knock out the last of the researchers, because soon enough that pollution cloud is going to start impinging on other things, and I want to have nukes when it does. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and good luck.